How's everybody doing? We're coming live to you from Ateres Shimon in Far Rockaway. It's unbelievable. Beautiful base measures for Mordechai Groner, Mordechai Yehuda Groner, one of my best chaverim from Berlin. Unbelievable. I was zoicha with him and Reb Avi Kamelar to be Mechadish, Luxor Estate, famous Luxor Estate. We were the first people. You're not going to believe it. First people there. Sang the entire Shabbos, Nigunim, was unbelievable. So, no, seriously, this place is a tremendous Malcolm Torah for Rockaway. Hundreds and hundreds of people went through this base measures. They learned Balabatim Klimer after work, young guys that are working. It's a whole matzah here. It's an unbelievable thing. Akter Shimon, come check it out. Today's shir, Lili Nishmas Imi Merasi, Rusbas Mordechai, and sponsored by Dr. Alan Rabinowitz from Toronto, the father-in-law of the famous Meir Planka. Lilu Nishmas Ovi Yerachmiel ben Moshe Yoina, and the Shoma should have an aliyah. That's one sponsor. Second sponsor is Binyamin Salov. Zchus Refuah Shlema for Rebbetzin Strickman, Chaya Shoshana Tova Bas Esther, Besoich Shor Choyle Yisrael, Boisai. We're talking about here in Far Rockaway. The famous Rabbi Yeged, the Rosh Hashiva of Shar Yosef, in the hospital. The famous Rabbi Kalish in the hospital. So there's a nice uptick here, and people need to be careful. It's not a joke, Rabbi Isa, it's not a joke. So, here's from Binyamin Stalov, Good Moed, and have a great yontiv. Just to mention that due to the health risks, I'm unable to go to shul, and thanks to Reb Eli, have 2.5 mesechtas to celebrate with. Tiskula mitzvahs to the whole MDY team. Special shout out to Larry Kozowski for getting me hooked on Reb Eli's shir. Binyamin Stalov, he's one of the sponsors today. So shkoyach Binyamin. All right, Rabbi Isai, I just want to announce that I realized that I made it. I made it yesterday. I started having that feeling when we took a poll. Who's the more popular Stefansky? Is it the Dagim or the 8 Minute? And I started, my guy started climbing. Today, I made it. I'll show you why. I have picture proof of this. This is a sukkah. And here's a lot of Gedolim. And they're all Sephardi. And which Sephardi would put Ashkenazi in the sukkah? Halawani. His name is Halawani. Here he is on the bottom right here. He's in the sukkah. He's already part of it. It's not a joke. Now the shaila is though Halawani is in here also. So I don't know. Here he is. So b'kitzer, yishkoyach. It's an amazing thing. Okay, fine. Today is Daf Samach Aleph. 2 things. It also means that we're 60 Daf in Yomi Eruvin. It's also my initials, Eli Stefansky. The day I made it in the sukkah. Pretty soon in the G'daylim cards, you know how it goes. It starts out with the sukkah, starts off slow, and eventually, yeah. Okay. Beseder. So here we are. We're in the middle of a sugya. 2 lines from the bottom. Omar Rava Daf Samach Amud Beis. Basically, we could go back a little bit. We have Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi here. Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi says, I don't think I showed this picture yesterday. The printer, by the way, is working again. Yes, it was the yellow. All I needed to do is take out the cartridge, put it back in, and everything is working. So the Olam could relax. All the 13 printer orders that I had could go back. Baruch Hashem, it's a great printer. Here's what we had yesterday. You have a city, and here's the measuring stick. You have 2,000 amos. At the end of the day, you want to go from your Eruv, here's your Eruv, and you go 2,000 amos. You'd stop right over here, right? No. Why? Because part of your 2,000 amos is a city. And in the city is not considered a city. We only consider it 4 amos. So we extend your 2,000 amos all the way up to this red line. Yeah? That's what we were talking about yesterday. We're talking about it more specifically in the case of 2 cities. You have a large city right over here, and you have a small city over here. And if you take a measuring stick from the two red walls, here's the small city has a red wall, and the large city has a wall, put in red. You take a measuring stick, you go this way, 2,000 amas. The small city is included in the measuring stick. So the Gemara says this way, according to Rabbi Shimon Levi, we don't count any of this small city at all because it's included, it's within the 2,000 amas. If it's included in the 2,000 amas, we shrink it to 4 amas. But if you take a measuring stick and go the opposite way into the large city, it only ends up, let's say, halfway. So you can't condense the large city and make it into 4 amas. Therefore, you count every single amma in the big city, in the large city. So you can only go exactly 2,000 amas from the small city into the large city, and you stop short wherever your city is only 4 amas. And the Gemara said yesterday, that's how we finished off. This is divrei nevios. Something like this is nevios. So on the one hand, you can learn Rashi. Nevios is like a lashon gnai. What? He's a navi. Where did he come up with this idea? But Taisa says no. It's literal. It's nevios. It's not something you come up with the logic. They both agree. It's not illogical. There's nothing illogical about it. But he got a Beruach HaKodesh. In other words, Beruach HaKodesh, he saw Rabbi Shimon Levi what the Gzeres Chachamim was. What their idea. When they were Mesakin Tchum, they said, if the small city is included, then we don't count it. If the city's not included in the 2,000 amas, it's larger than that, then it's not. We don't condense it. Shalom Aleichem Rabbi Yonim Stalav. It's the first time I noticed you on Zoom. Shalom Aleichem Yishkoyach for the sponsorship. Choshev Yid in Dallas. Maybe I did notice you. I don't know. I don't remember anymore. Zog the Gemara. Omara. Wow, very weird. I was talking about him and he fell off the wall. Here he goes, bam, off the wall. You see that? Live. I couldn't, it's a moifus. It's your fault. I shouldn't have mentioned the name. All right. It's not true. It's not a divri ruach hakodesh. It's not a nevuah. In fact, don't tell me it's grown himself. No, it's not. We learned it. We're going to learn it right now in the Mishnah on Daf Samach Aleph, Amud Aleph, towards the bottom of the page. The last piece is the Mishnah, and here's the Mishnah. And we're going to go into detail on this Mishnah. It says in the Mishnah that the people from the larger city, they're permitted to walk the entire small city. But the small guys, the guys from the small city, cannot walk the entire large city. Nu, says Rava, we have to explain Reb Shua ben Levi. My time. We have to say that the smaller guys, the guys from the small city, they are the kol midasim b'chatzi. Their measuring tape comes to half a city. Therefore, the whole city is not included. Whereas the large city, it includes the entire thing. So why did Ravidi say it's Ruach HaKodesh? He doesn't like it. It's before Mishnah. What? He didn't know about Samach Aleph Amud Aleph. Says the Gemara, Anshe Tani. Now what's very interesting is that when we learn the Mishnah, we're going to learn it, but we're going to learn more about it now before we learn the actual Mishnah. By the time we get to the Mishnah, we're going to know the Mishnah pretty well. It actually says exactly what Ravidi was goyres. Ravidi had a different girsa. It's not that he was learning different pshat in the Mishnah. He had a different girsa in the Mishnah to the point that that's how we are reading the Mishnah today. That's how it's brought down in our Gemara in Eruvin. Anshe Tani. So if we look at the first line in the Mishnah, let's go down to the first line in the Mishnah. Anshe ir gdoila mahalchem is called ir ktana. Ve'anshe ir ktana. Oh, there's another girsha here that says ve'ein anshe ir ktana. They stick in the word no, but here we're saying yes, and that fits in beautifully. In other words, Ravidi's goyres, they could go both ways. The guys from the small city can walk the entire large city, and the guys from the large city can walk the entire small city. Now, what's the pshat? We have to explain pshat. Because he actually put his eruv in the large city, so he's kiveya his residence in the large city. Once the large city is where you're going to be staying for Shabbos, you can walk the entire city. So it has nothing to do with moeded. There's a concept called moeded. Why do you think that's going to work? You try. There's a concept called moeded. I take my measuring stick, and as I'm walking, I'm measuring, then I stop at 2,000 amma. But we're not talking about that, says the Gemara. We're talking about where a person placed his Eruv before Shabbos in a city, and Mameli is allowed to walk that city. It's not talking about measuring. Ask the Gemara of a lie. What are you talking about? But not, it says in the Mishnah on the bottom of the page. If a guy measures, you give him 2,000 amma. Those are the last words in the Mishnah. That if your measurement stops in middle of a city, you get 2,000 amma. In middle of a cave. That's it. So what exactly did Rabbi Shmuel ben Levi add? The question is now the exact opposite. Before we were saying Rabbi Shmuel ben Levi made it up something only Ruach HaKodesh could tell you. And now we're saying that Rabbi Shmuel ben Levi is in the Mishnah. So then what did Rabbi Shmuel ben Levi add? Says the Gemara, he added the idea, then that's the Nevius, that the entire city folds up and becomes 4 amma. That doesn't mention that in the Mishnah. The Mishnah is talking about a person places his Eruv in the middle of the city, he can walk the entire city. And now, Rabbi Shmuel ben Levi says a tremendous chiddush, that if your city is included in the 2,000 amas, it fits into this measuring stick, condense it to 4 amma. All we consider it is 4 amma. That's a tremendous chiddush. That's Nevius, that's Ruach HaKodesh. Or Rav Nachman, mandatoni anshiloi mishtabesh, or mandatoni ein anshiloi mishtabesh. So we're literally going to explain the Mishnah before we even learn the Mishnah. We're learning the Mishnah. It's a problem for Akwe. All the air conditioners are off. No? Let's say it, no? Mandatoni, we have more pull in this place than we have in, maybe it should be Coke, no? Where's that? Okay, shkoyach. No, so by the way, after the shear, like we did last week, or in the beginning of the week, after the shear, let's say at 1 o'clock-ish, at 8 o'clock in Eretz Yisrael, we're going to pause for a few minutes, rearrange, turn on YouTube, and start all over again. We're going to do shear number 2, so that Eretz Yisrael has a shear after Yantiv. Now, tomorrow morning, shear number 3. I don't know, you guys don't need to show up. I think we're going to do it about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Because there's a Suda tomorrow. It's 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Maybe I'll just do it from my bedroom or something. We'll figure it out. We'll schmooze later. But once again, I just need to point this out. Rabbi said, it's very important. If you by mistake hear both of these shiurim, maybe whoever stays here tonight, it doesn't absolve you of learning Torah tomorrow. It's about the Yomi, you got to learn Torah tomorrow. So do chazara, do something. But just because you did the daf earlier doesn't mean you don't have to do the daf tomorrow. Says the Gemara, regardless how you read the Mishnah, you are in good hands. You could say that there's a difference between the small city and the large city, and you could say they're both the same. It's all good. Like we just read it now, great, the Moikim Labenoisen, because if you place the Eruv in a large city, you get to use the entire large city. If you place the Eruv in the small city, you get to use the small city. We don't care about the size of the city. And if you say there's a difference between the large city and the small city, you also are not, there's no shibush, there's no mistake here in the Mishnah. The Moikim Loi B'Moided, now we're talking about a guy that didn't place his Eruv, just rather a guy that was measuring his Eruv, and when he got to the center of the city, since it's a large city, he must stop short, he cannot continue on. We have to explain it, and this is what it means to say. People from the large city could use the entire small city, but the reverse is not true. They cannot use the entire large city. That's only because he was measuring and he got stuck in the middle of the large city, so he can't go any further. But if he placed his Eruv, but he placed his Eruv in the large city, there's no difference between a large city and a small city. Then he gets, once he's at the end of the city, the whole city becomes his house. So he goes to the end of the city, and then he continues weiter. Then he does his 2,000 amas at the edge of the city. Omer Rav Yosef, Omer Rav Barabba, Omer Rav Huna. They say in the name of Rav Huna. You're on some sort of river. It's very deep, says Rashi. Im yesh lefoneo daka. If you have a remember yesterday we had daka. This is not the picture, right? But he's on a river. Daka is just, I'm showing you what daka is. It's that very thin piece of plywood or whatever, a piece of wood. It's a thin piece of wood. It's to mark your location. So if he has a very thin piece of wood, arba, so we're going to see in the Gemara, we're not goyres the word arba, we're goyres arba. What's the difference between arba and arba? Arba is 4 tefachim, arba is 4 amas. So if it's 4 amas, approximately, let's say a little bit less than 8 feet tall, now you can use the edge of the river and count the river, what? It's only a few feet wide. So you go from there, 2,000 amas out. V'im lav, but if you have a piece of daka between your house and the river, what's going on here? So Rashi over here says that a person is concerned, it's very deep, it's steep, he's scared that, let's say, his children, whatever, are going to fall off into the river. So he puts a mechitza, he puts a nice little wall, and that protects him from falling into the river. Oh, so if you protect from falling off the river, so Rashi explains, now your house becomes like a hut. My house has nothing to do with your house, we're all individual huts, we have nothing to do, the river is not what unites us, we all have our own little place going on, and therefore we're not in a city, so my tchum begins from my house. Other Rishonim explain that we're talking about, you're concerned about the water coming into your house. Another pachad. Fine. But say Rashi, that's what Rashi means. Rashi says somewhere else. But how does a little piece of, how could any wood protect you from a tsunami or a flood? I like Rashi over here. Let's just stick with Rashi right over here, that he's scared he's going to fall in. So Abai is talking to Rav, it's not Rav Yosef, is it? Rav Huna. Oh, Omer Rav Yosef, yeah, it is Rav Yosef, it's Rebbe. So why, in this case that we had the other day, how big was this daka? 4 tefachim. That's what we said. You need a small little piece, you just jump right over it. So it's more of a heker. How come in our case you need 4 amas? It's like taller than a person. Over here, guys are different than the lower guys, whatever the case is. We're talking about fear. For fear, you need to put a real mechitza so people don't fall. Omer Rav Yosef. How do I know this halacha? Hit the Rebbe Shu b'nei Goder Yerdim Chamason. Oh, look at Rashi. Rashi has a little picture here. Goder was on the top, and Chamason was on the bottom of the hill. 2 small cities. And Rebbe said that the people from Goder could go down to Chamason. The people from Chamason cannot go up to Goder. My time. Lav mishum dahani ovodaka. You think the reason is because the people from Goder made some sort of heker. They put a little flimsy fence. So the people from Chamason are not allowed to go up into Goder because they made a fence. But the people from Chamason didn't make a small fence. So the people from Goder are considered a city, says Rashi. Very interesting. If you don't look in Rashi, you might not know this. You think, okay, fence. No, Rashi explains that the fence makes it a city. Very interesting. So by me putting a flimsy piece of plywood or something, I create a city. Now Goder's a city. You guys from Chamason don't come into my city. But the people from Goder could go into Chamason because Chamason is not a city. You have a little thing here, a little thing there. Fine. Rav Dimi says a very, very sad pshat. What happened was, if Chamson people would come to Goder to get beat up, Rashi says they would kill them. Literally, they would die. Death. Fatal injuries. Although some are not Gerson on the side, but we don't like the non-Gerson. We like the action. Oh, they went there, they got killed, there's a whole Maisa. It's crazy to think about it. Umay Hitir, his Rebbe said, you have to put up, you can't go to Gadar. Are you crazy? You're risking your life. So, when I'm reading this, it's very interesting. You see that Chachamim, some of us have tainus on Chachamim. How do they make a gather for us? How are they being guarded for Muktzah, for this? What business do they have? You see that they needed to teach people even for their own safety. You see it today also, unfortunately, by Corona. Yeah. I can't talk in front of the borough parkers, but we have Eli Dykeman here. It's like, we have to tell you, you're Meshuggah. Because what happens is, people think to themselves, I'm not going to die. I'm from the group of people that doesn't die. The people that die are the other guys. Those guys, they die. But the 40-year-old, it's different. Not me. I'm not a person. I'm going to go to Gadar, and that was when I was in 3rd grade, so they're not going to start up with me. But people die there all the time. You need Rebbe to tell you, don't go there. I have to make a takana, you shouldn't go there. So it's not just in halachas, in Hilchas Shabbos, and all different halachas that we have, and this gather. Even in safety, when everybody knows. You heard? That guy got killed when he went to go. Nah, not me. Not gonna start with me. And then he comes back in a coffin. Shalom Aleichem. Okay. So hint for Corona. It's not going to happen to me. Well, in Maisa, we have people now that we know, famous people, chashuv people in the community, in the hospital. Zog the Gemara. Also, by the way, I didn't read it completely. I saw in Gaivad Elio, you're saying some shot there. I have to look at it again. Something about like Chamson is seeing and Goder is not Nageh for now. Fine. Because Chamise, we say by Sreifas Chametz, we say Chamise, a gather is something that protects you, and okay, different time. We'll talk about it. Says the Gemara. Shabbos. Well, if people are dying, so why do you make a? Exactly here. So Baruch Hashem, we have a guy from Borough Park here, and he's saying. He's explaining why you could go to Gadar. He says a few hooligans in Gadar. He's echoing what I just said about Corona. It's a few people that die. It's not you or me. It's the other guy. Fine, not the whole town. But it happens to be that if you go there, you risk your life. But if that's true, why did Rebbe only say on Shabbos? They're going to kill you on Monday also. Why dafka on Shabbos? Ma'aseh Shabbos. Says and this is also something we can relate to. I know communities, unfortunately, that Shabbos is the time you get drunk. Every week on Shabbos you get drunk, you go to Kiddush and this and drunk. And by the way, if somebody gets drunk every Shabbos, he can be considered an alcoholic. You know that. You don't have to get drunk every day to be considered alcoholic. If you get drunk once a week, you're officially, in the book, you're officially an alcoholic if it's detrimental. And usually it is. Zog the Gemara. Enough muster. Go weiter. Leil Shana Rabbit. It's a big zacher. Big. Zog the Gemara. Ki az le'osam nami mitat. So when they come, when the guys from Gadar go down into the next neighborhood, they're all going to start killing people there. So don't allow them into the neighborhood. Says the Gemara, Kalba b'lei masei, a dog not in his neighborhood, doesn't bark for 7 years. In other words, they don't feel comfortable messing around not in their neighbor. Hashanami, says the Gemara, the guys from Chamson are going to get them back. Here, they're in their neighborhood, let them beat them up. No, the guys from Gadar, they're hooligans, the Taka tough guys. They're not going to submit themselves that low and let the guys in Chamson get the upper hand on them. You see it, Bismanenu Gam. You know, certain people from different neighborhoods, you go to the neighborhood, you're dead. But if they come to you, even, let's say, even the Arabs in Eretz Yisrael, you go into the neighborhood, you're dead. But when they come to our neighborhood, they don't submit themselves, they walk around. But Gaiva, nobody touches them. Like Gaitas. Okay, fine. Zog the Gemara. Rav Safra Amar Iro Asuyi Ki Keshes Havi. Rabbi said, by the way, I just want to warn you, this is basically the last daf in the Masechta Benegeh to Tchumim and all these things, all these halachas, the tougher halachas that we're learning. From here on out, we do go back a little bit. We might mention like certain halachas, but not so much the footage and the 2,000 amas, that kind of stuff. Some people are excited about that announcement. Okay. Says the Gemara, we're talking about, remember this keshet, the picture really should be like this, because these guys are in the, let me show it. Flip it over, just, because I borrowed a picture, it's hard for me to flip it over, because when you flip it over, it doesn't look good. You see the keshet, it doesn't, the houses don't look so good here, when it's upside down. So I left it upside down, but we'll figure it out without the right side up. Says the Gemara, Rav Safra, Rav Dimi, no, Rav Safra, Amar, Iro Atsuyi Ki Keshes Have. So what's going on here? So number one, when we learned the sugya of keshes, we learned that if from here to here is more than 4,000 amas, then this string, the Yasser string, is no longer the border. So what is the border of the city? Each house. So you got to take this house and go down. Here's Gadar down here, and Chamson is up here. Now, the reason I said it's upside down is because Chamson is on the bottom, Gadar's on top. But just be moichel me now for this pshat over here. So, what's happening is that from Gadar till Chamson is 2,000 amas, everything's included. But from Chamson to Gadar, all you could get is like to the beginning of the city. You know, the whole city is not included in 2,000 amas. So therefore they have to stop short. Since Gadar is a long city, it's a square, let's say, so the 2,000 amas from this house only goes to the beginning of the city. But if you go from the end of Gadar to Chamson, 2,000 amma, you can include the entire Chamson because it's narrow. It is included in Gadar. Gadar is not included in Chamson. Yeah? Oh, the what? No, the Ruach HaKodesh is more of a... I don't think that's Ruach HaKodesh. That's not Ruach HaKodesh. Ruach HaKodesh is more of a halacha. You saw halacha in Ruach HaKodesh. Okay. Rav Dimi Bar Chinin Omar, Anshir G'doilo, Anshir K'tana. So, that's, do I have a picture of that? Oh yeah, here. Same idea. This is the Ir G'doilo, and the Ir K'tana fits into the Ir G'doilo, but the Ir G'doilo doesn't fit into the Ir K'tana. Same thing as I said before. So, Gadar is the Ir G'doilo. So it swallows up the Ir K'tana, it has permission to go into the Ir K'tana. But the Ir K'tana, which ends up in the middle of the Ir G'doilo, they don't have permission to go in to the whole Ir G'doilo. Rav Kana Masna Hachi, so that's how Rav Kana said his pshat. Rav Yomi Masna Hachi. This is how Rav Yomi learned it. Rav Safra, Rav Dimi Bachinu Chadom Irasui Keshav, Chadom Anshik Tana, Anshik Doilab. One of the two, either Rav Safra said Keshet or he said Irktana. He wasn't sure which one said what. And now we're learning the Mishnah that we already are very familiar with. Says the Mishnah, Anshik Doilab Malchin is called Irktana. The people from the large city, they could walk the entire small city. Now we're at Gairis, that there's no difference between the large city and the small city. And the people from the small city can walk the entire large city. They don't have to stop short at the 2,000 amma mark. And we explained it. Keitzad. Really fits in. He put his Eruv in the Ir Ktana, or he put his Eruv, he placed it in the large city. Mameli can walk the entire large city. Just like if I place my Eruv, or if I live in a giant mansion, I'm not limited to 2,000 amma. If my mansion is 5,000 amma, I walked entirely 5,000. So too over here, I can walk the entire city because I made my residence be known before Shabbos where I place my Eruv, so I can walk the entire city. Once I'm done walking the entire city, that's where I begin my 2,000 amma, or I finish off my 2,000 amma. Rabbi Kiva Omer, Ein loi elo mimakoim eruvoi alpayim amma. We're going to see Rabbi Kiva in more detail. Omer Rabbi Kiva, that if I place my Eruv in a cave that's not a livable cave, we'll see, he only gets 2,000 amma from the place in the cave. You don't get the entire cave. A masa, you're right, because nobody, you don't live there. It's not a residence. If it's a large cave that people live in, the entire cave is considered daled amas, and then you continue on from there. The entire cave is considered one residence. It could be 10 miles long, it's one residence. But the top of the cave, above the cave, you only get 2,000 amma. So it's a chumrah. If you, so guy is measuring, he gets 2,000 amma, he stops short. So if he's in a cave, he stops short right over there, wherever he got his 2,000 amma. Says, so returning Daf Samach Aleph, Amud Beis, 60 daf into the Masechta, incredible, sponsored by Mark Steinberg for Shidduch, for Pesach Yehuda, Ben Meir Yosef. There's a lot of excitement about this initiative. I hope we could grab it and go forward. We need some people to step up. We'll just throw on norm as we do all the time, and it will work. If you count on me, not going to happen really. But no, seriously, I got another email today, 2 emails, this, that, Yishkoyach for the initiative, I have a daughter, we can make this happen. Somebody recommended that we should get the Nesheh involved. Also a good idea. Let them run it. But meanwhile, Noam said yes, great, we'll go with Noam. And by anonymous, Hatzlach in Yiddishkeit and a schos for his family to be Torah Yidden. Daf Samach Aleph Amud Beis. Omer Rabbi Shmuel Shavas Be'ir Chareva. If a person resided in a Ir Chareva. Now, until now we learned Chareva means that it's a churva. It's not Lashon churva. It's Chareva meaning it doesn't have people that live there. It's desolate. There's nobody there. It has walls. It has the walls. The opposite of a churva. The opposite, but it has walls, unlike a churva. But it's Chareva. It doesn't have people living there. Says Shmuel, what if you're in such a city? Now there's no machlokes in this at all. But he says, the Rabbanon mahalichas kula v'chutza la'alpayim amma. And that's something that Rabbi Akiva admits. Okay. So it's considered one makam. Why? They have the walls, and that's where I was for Shabbos. I was Shabbos there. He was Shabbos. He made it his residence. I don't care about other people being there or not being there. I am there. I myself am there. That is my house. It became my house. So Mela, I go to the end of it, and from there on, 2,000 am. What if he's placed there? Now, this is great according to Chachamim. If he just places his Eruv there, but it's a desolate place, so Mela, he doesn't get the entire enclosure. He starts from his Eruv. But this halacha would apply according to Rabbi Akiva, even in a place where it's not desolate. So this is a halacha that Chachamim agreed to in a chareva, where Rabbi Akiva would say, yes, I agree to it, but it's not a chiddush here. I'm saying even in a place where there's a lot of people, if you just place the Eruv, excuse me, you just place the Eruv, that doesn't do anything. Even if there's people there. Even if you are there, reside on Shabbos, or even if you just place your Eruv there, doesn't matter. What do you mean it doesn't matter? Just placing your Eruv. He brought him a raya from a cave, and they agreed to that. But it seems like that if nobody lives there, they do agree that a cave that nobody lives, you can't place your Eruv. So what are you telling me? Who are you going according to, Rabbi Lazar? It says, it doesn't have walls. The walls fell down. That's different. If the walls fell down, you can't live there, then everybody agrees. Zog the Gemara Toshma, Shavas be'ir afilu yigdoila kan toichya b'ma'ara. So the king Tzidkiyahu, he made a cave underneath to escape Yerushalayim. And the Navi, terrible story actually, the Navi told him, he was warned, you have to give in, and he didn't. So he escaped, and then they were chasing a deer, and the deer brought him to the opening of the cave, and poof, they trapped him. And the end of the story is a terrible story. He shechted his kids right in front of him, and then they took his eyes out. So the last thing he saw was his kids being shechted, and then he sat in jail for the rest, I think like 40 years or something. Kids are a terrible story. Akopadim, this Ma'aras Tzidkiyahu that they dug out was a huge cave. It went forever. Went from his palace all the way out of Yerushalayim. Mahalach, the Alach is, even though it's very large, Mahalach is kula v'chutzal alpayim amo. It's considered one. Tani ear, so kantoichia, we have an ear, or ma'ara. So it shouldn't be. They should be similar halachas. That what mamor chareva, afir chareva, just like a cave is desolate, so too the city is desolate. V'shavasin avaliniach loy. Only if you reside there, but not if you place your eruv. Mani ilem rebekiva mir chareva afilu yeshiva nami. You need to sit there. Elalav rabbanon. So it goes according to Rabbanon. V'tayv shavas in avaliniach loy. So l'chayra, according to Rabbanon, you see that you have to reside there. It's not enough to place it. Says Gemara loy teima ir dumi de ma'ara. It's not pshat that the city is similar to the cave. Elohim ma'ara dumi de ir. The opposite. The cave is like the city. Ma'ir yesheva, afmar yesheva. Just like a city is not desolate, people live there. So too, the cave must be a place that people are living in. Rebbe Kiva, and it goes according to Rebbe Kiva. If he himself is residing there, then he admits that it works, you get the whole city. If not, it's only from his Eruv on. But it says like the cave of Tzidkiyahu, which wasn't a place that people lived. It was only for the king to escape. It's not a place that you live. It says Gemara Kima'ara Tzidkiyahu v'loy Kima'ara Tzidkiyahu. Right? Because if I tell you like the cave of Tzidkiyahu, so I'm not telling you all the details. That doesn't mean it's going to be brown like the cave of Tzidkiyahu, which was brown. It tells you one major idea that Tzidkiyahu's cave. If I asked you, what did I mean by that? You probably would tell me, like Tzidkiyahu's cave that's very large. You wouldn't think to yourself, oh, like Tzidkiyahu's cave that's desolate or not desolate. That wasn't the point of the Brisa. Like the cave, it's one thing that's very, very long. And that's what the Gemara answers. It's not exactly like the cave. Yeah, because it's desolate. Says the Gemara's story, and then with that we're going to finish the shir for now. He found these people that were putting the Eruv in a giant shul, all the way at the end of the city, but it was a massive shul. The Bay Agoivar. Now, l'chayr they held like Rabbanan, that the entire giant shul, I don't care, it could hold, it's like bells in Yerushalayim, massive. You could put the Eruv anywhere in that shul because the whole shul is considered Daled Amis, like Rabbanan. So he sees this, he says, Gabu Beitvei, you got to move it over. Why? Because you need to start your tchum from where the Eruv is placed and not by the walls of the shul. So who this is holding? They should have more space. You're a Bal Machloikis, you're getting involved in Machloikis. You're telling me a svara that goes according to Rebbe Kiva, that he doesn't hold that the walls are included, that everything is included. You only get 2,000 amas from where you place the Eruv. And I'm telling you, when it comes to Eruvin, we have to be Mekel. The halacha is like the Mekel and Eruv. And the kula is that you get everything within the walls. And Memela, don't worry where you place the Eruv. Anywhere in the shul is good. You will start your tchum from beyond the shul wall. Hadran Alach Keitzad Ma'abrin. Hadran Alach Keitzad Ma'abrin. Hadran Alach Keitzad Ma'abrin. And with that we finish the halachas of tchum. You can leave it on for now. We're going to say Tehilim and have special mind for the refuah shleim that we have here and all the Chaylim, Rabbi Yeager, the very Choshev Shiva from Shayashav, and Rabbi Kalish, and Kol Chayli Yisrael.
Shir Malais, Mama Kim Kursi Khadana.
Shir Malais, Mama Kim Kursi Khadana.
And Shmok Litina Zahazwa Kota Khadana.
I know Shmok Litina Zahazwa Kota
Imam Nastishmaya Danamiyamai.
Imam Nastishmaya Danamiyamai.
Kim Khasli Khalaman Tibore.
Kim Khasli Khalaman Tibore.
Kim Isanaki Sanaf Shivali Khalti.
Isanaki Sanaf Shivali Khalti.
Nashilad Nami Shamim Labaika, Shamim Labaika.
Nashilad Nami Shamim Labaika, Shamim Labaika.
Yachali Salah Adonai, Kivan Nayachaz Rabbi Maifidu.
Yachaz Adonai, Kivan Nayachaz Rabbi Maifidu. We've done this song of the song. I can't go with this one. Been by Yomi Eruvin, so welcome to the Ayub Shiva Gulu. Stop. Yes.
Can you clarify for the Ilam your shear schedule? A few people asked.
So we're starting the Amud Beis in just a few minutes. It's 1:06 a.m. We should be done at 2 a.m. And tomorrow afternoon, I can't guarantee. I don't know. I wanted to stay up and learn tonight because it's Shana Rabbah. So I don't want to put myself in and my brother wants to make a Su'udah at 12 o'clock. So that's why I say I think 2 p.m. New York time, I would like to do Daf Samach Gimel. So in just a few minutes, we're starting Daf Samach Beis. Samach Gimel, it's a Gaddish, is going to be 2 o'clock p.m., but you guys in Eretz Yisrael are going to be way into Yontif, into everything else, and that's going to be for what? For Matzah Yontif for you guys in Eretz Yisrael, no? Or Sunday. It's this for Sunday morning. So this year Samach Beis is for Matzah Yontif, Samach Gimel is for Sunday morning, and we are not going to be around then, I think. It's going to be, and then Matzah Yontif over here, Matzah Yontif in America at 12:15 a.m. New York time. I'm going to give Samach Daled. Understood? I mean, I'm confused myself. I understand where the confusion comes from.
Can you put that up on one of the MDY chats when you?
Oh, you mean what I'm going to do tomorrow? One thing's for sure. Matzah Yontif 12:15. It's nothing's sure, but that's the schedule. I would like to 2 o'clock, unless somebody has some major opposition to it. I'd like to do 2 o'clock p.m. tomorrow, Daf Samach Gimel. It'll also give me some time to learn and to. All right. A good yontiv, everybody in Eretz Yisrael. Good yontiv, a piska tova, a good moyed.